Last March, figurative and literal survival were prioritized over perfect pedagogic practices. We've since traded clusters of desks for Zoom breakout rooms, adjusted to increasing asynchronous interactions, and become familiar with the successes and frustrations of increasing technological reliance. While we have a new way of doing things, the questions we are asking our students are typically the same as they were a year ago. Do you understand the concept of X? Can you describe the theory of Y? Our questions continue to center ideas of content, ignoring the abnormal and stressful conditions that impact the ability to absorb said content. Are we asking students the right questions? You've likely encountered the bleak perspective that some students are satisfied with achieving the minimum. These students are said to want the social experience of university without developing the work ethic and dedication required to excel in rigorous studies. Terms like Zoom fatigue are entering our lexicon, with some wondering if this is not simply a new manifestation of disinterest and lack of dedication. Are we asking the right questions about these students? Are we asking these students the right questions? Many are likely familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Under this framework, the high-level contemplative and analytical tasks of the classroom depend on basic physiological and safety needs being met. Students who don't feel safe because they are immunocompromised, cannot properly socially distance, are separated from family, or are out of work and unable to pay for food and shelter, need help addressing the most fundamental issues of safety and well-being. Without this, they cannot achieve all they wish in the classroom. These may be the same students who were just dismissed for their lack of motivation. Are we asking students the right questions? As I've adapted to TAing under pandemic conditions, I've come to learn that we are not asking students the right questions. We love the content we teach, but we must understand that students who are dealing with unprecedented challenges may not be in a place where answering our questions about course content can be a priority. We are not asking these students the right questions. I've been guilty of producing and distributing resource lists that are left relatively untouched after initial distribution. Over the last year, I've learned to have a more active approach to sharing resources. While we still need to check in on student comprehension, we must also ask if students know where they can access a COVID test, obtain emergency food access, or find mental health supports. The questions we ask and the answers we give must recognize students as both learners and fellow humans sharing in the experience of living under pandemic. Taking the time to ask questions about general well-being does not inhibit our more traditional instructional goals. A casual yet caring moment or two at the beginning and end of class makes a profound difference. I urge us to remember that when basic needs are met, our students are better resourced to meet their learning goals. Further, students who feel like they are more than just a column in a grade book ask about ways they can exceed our expectations. My students have become increasingly comfortable in asking for academic and professional mentorship, ways to support university research endeavors, and have shared their hopes, dreams, and fears as budding scholars in brave and beautiful ways. Students shine when we ask the right questions. The questions we are initially tempted to ask in the classroom, often about content and comprehension, are not always the questions our students need answered. By more deeply interrogating the questions we value, and those we don't, we can begin to ask the right questions. This is pandemic pedagogy, but I hope it represents post-pandemic pedagogy as well.